one constant through all the years, Ray, has been baseball.
Little roller up along first. Behind the bag. It gets through Buckner. Here comes Knight, and the Mets win. Now the 2-1.
Line drive to the base hit. Just as the score the tying run. Green to the plate. And he is safe. Safe at the plate. The Braves go to the World Series.
Have reserved seats somewhere along one of the baselines that sat when they were children and cheered their heroes.
Gibson swings and a fly ball to deep right field. This is going to be a home run. Unbelievable!
A 3-run home run for Bucky Dent. The Yankees now lead by a score of 3-2.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mazeroski has hit a 1-0 pitch over the left field fence at Forbes Field to win the 1960 World Series.
They'll arrive at your door as innocent as children, longing for the past.
The Pope arrived at Yankee Stadium. As one enthusiastic announcer put it, he is standing on second base.
Reggie Jackson. Long drive right field. It is done by big World Series for Ricky. The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run.
Racker throws. There's a left back. It's going to be, I believe, the Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant. The Giants from the pennant.
The 0-1 pitch. A liner off Nagy's glove into center field. The Florida Marlins have won the World Series.
The memories will be so thick that I can brush them in their faces.
The 1-0 delivery to Fisk. He swings, long drive, left field. If it stays fair, it's gone. Home run. The Red Sox win. And the series is...
Lolich fires. Ball is hit high in the air. This should be the series. Freehand waving everybody away in foul territory. Detroit wins.
Here's the pitch to Willie. Here's a liner straight to Richardson. The ball game is over and the World Series is over. Willie McCovey hit it like a bullet. A line drive right.
Baseball to mark the time.
The Oakland A's take. I'll tell you what, we're having an earth.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Candlestick Park for Game 3 of the 1989 World Series.
It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
Frank Robinson, the right-hand batter.
Long drive to left field. Way back. Yes, it's hit back. Home run.
Base hit loaded, 1 out. Pena in a jam. The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
Ozzie with 1 out. Smith corks one into right down the line. It may go. Go crazy, folks. Go crazy. It's a home run. And the
Willie Mays just brought this crowd to its feet with a catch, which must have been an optical illusion to a lot of people.
This field, this game, is a part of our past, Ray. It reminds us of all that once was good, and it could be again.
Broadcasted live.
Hey! Who wants to have some fun?
There are balls coming from all over the place. Left field, center field, right field. See, this is the kind of thing, quite honestly, right now, that makes you want to see the Chicago Cubs team lose.
Now, are you just saying you want to have fun, or do you really want to have fun?
It'll be fun.
Will the next person that sees anybody throw anything onto this field, point them out, or get them out of here? You don't live in Cleveland. You live in Cincinnati.
You talking to me? You talking to me?
That is the farthest thing in the universe from the truth.
Hello, everyone, live. It's the Dan Scott Show. And right there is your host, Dan Scott.
Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of the program. I am your host, Dan Scott. Good to be back with you after taking the final couple of days off from last week. It was the off week here at Furman, so I took a little bit of time to pursue a little side interest that I have going from time to time and spend a little bit of time doing that. But you know what? We're back at it today and looking forward to it. A little bit overcast, some haze out there, sun trying to break through as we look out towards Paris Mountain, which is partially concealed by some of that haze, but still a beautiful sight here overlooking Paladin Stadium out toward Paris Mountain. And, of course, on Saturday, this place is going to have a big crowd in it as the Paladins, following a week off, get back into play and will host the Wofford Terriers. The I-85 rivalry for 2018 will take place here, and it'll be a 1 o'clock kickoff, and we're going to have a whole lot of stuff about that game coming up as we go through the course of the week. Normally on Mondays, we are visiting with Don Clardy from the 88 National Championship team to not only get his thoughts on what this current Paladin team is doing, but looking back week by week at the 88 season, which ultimately led to that national championship that year. But today, I just got a text from Don in the air. He is flying to Chicago and can't be with us today, so we're going to double up next week. I just think he didn't want to talk about the loss at Marshall. You know, we kidded about it at the end of last week's session with the Southern Conference opening win over VMI that week in 88. This week was a trip to Marshall, and it would be a regular season loss, their last one, matter of fact, their last loss of any kind in that 2088 season. And as we know, they would get redemption over the Thundering Herd back in Huntington, West Virginia in the playoffs. But we'll get into that next week, so Don will be doubling up when he rejoins us next Monday. We got a bunch of stuff to get to today, though. It was a busy weekend, as always, in the world of college football, the world of professional football, the Major League Baseball playoffs. Bunch of stuff going on, and we're going to try to wade our way through it as best we can. And also introduce you to a gentleman by the name of John D'Angelo, who is the Director of Operations for Furman Basketball, the new addition to Bob Ritchie's staff. Recorded that on Wednesday of last week as a part of what will be the next edition, episode 22 of the All Den podcast. But you'll get a sneak preview of it here on today's show. But just some things to get at. First of all, let's take a look at what transpired in the Southern Conference this week. Only 3 games, 2 league games. ETSU was out of league. They blanked Gardner-Webb 45-0, as you see there. Samford, a 66-28 win at Western Carolina, and Wofford beat Chattanooga 21-10. The Chattanooga, the Samford game, more about that in a minute because of the day that Devlin Hodges had. But how do you like my spelling there? It's not this wheel. Let's fix that on the fly. You guys can watch magic happen. This week, he said, Wofford and Furman, as I mentioned, at 1 o'clock. Mercer on the road at Yale, out of conference at 1 p.m. And then 3 conference games. ETSU at the Citadel at 2. VMI at Samford at 3:30, and Chattanooga at Western Carolina, or at 3 p.m. is Chattanooga, Western Carolina at 3:30. So that's what transpired this week. This is a look at this coming week as well. Mentioned Devlin Hodges. This young man, as you know, preseason Offensive Player of the Year in the conference, fine quarterback for the Samford Bulldogs. And, of course, they've had a really tough start to the season. 2-4 overall, just picked up their first conference win. They're now 1-2 in the league after the win over Western Carolina. And because of their schedule, the only way they're going to make the FCS playoffs is to win the conference, and they're going to have to dig out of a big hole and get some help in order to do so. But got their first conference win on Saturday, and Devlin Hodges, check out these numbers. 562 yards passing as Samford rolled up 736 yards of total offense. Hodges had 1 touchdown pass, 2 touchdown passes, 3 touchdown passes. He had a touchdown run and another touchdown pass, all in the first quarter. 4 touchdown passes and a touchdown run in the first quarter. It was 35-0 after a quarter. He then added to it a third quarter 68-yard touchdown pass to Yasser El-Amin and a Roland Adams 3-yard touchdown pass. So now we're sitting at 6 touchdown passes and a rushing touchdown, and that's where he would finish the day. So 562 yards passing, 6 touchdown passes, a rushing touchdown, and what that did was set multiple records. Here are the records. School records for touchdowns responsible for in a single game was 7. School and SoCon records for passing yardage in a single game. School and SoCon record for total yards in a single game. SoCon record for career 400-yard passing games. Tied the school record for most completions in a single game. School record for most consecutive games with a TD pass with 19. So Devlin Hodges and company rolled it up at Western Carolina this weekend, 66-28. And Devlin Hodges, as you saw, set multiple records in the process. All right, we need to take our first break. When we come back, we're going to have a little bit of fun with the Carolina Panthers' Graham Gano. You're going to want to hear this because we're going to give you all 3 calls of his 63-yard game-winning field goal. I say all 3. I guess technically there were 4. Don't have the Giants version, but we have the TV version. We have the Panthers version, and then we have a Spanish radio version. I promise you, you're going to want to see this. Our show is brought to you each and every day by our presenting sponsor, Carolina Creative. Not just simply brilliant. You're going to hear much more about them in this commercial break, brought to you by a familiar voice. When we come back, Graham Gano takes center stage, and we'll do that after this on the Dan Scott Show. Don't go away. Hey, everybody, Dan Scott here, and I want to tell you about my technology partner, Carolina Creative Group. When my show needed a creative technology boost, I turned to Carolina Creative Group. My custom design website is going to take marketing as well as brand strategy and development to new levels. The search engine optimization means that my clients' ads will be seen by more people more often. And if I have any questions, Carolina Creative Group is just a phone call away. Friends, that is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You can find out all the ways that Carolina Creative Group can help your business by simply calling 864-250-2012. Again, that's 864-250-2012, or simply visit them online at carolinacreative.co. Carolina Creative Group, technology partner of the Dan Scott Show.
If you're looking for the perfect frame for that special photo or painting, Custom Corners Frame Shop in Seneca can deliver for you. Family owned for nearly 4 decades, Trevor and the folks at Custom Corners Frame Shop pride themselves on quality, presentation, and professionalism. They offer picture framing for every budget, and every job is custom. Custom Corners Frame Shop also sells work from local artists as well as locally themed gifts. For more information, visit them at 289 Market Street in Seneca. Call 864-882-7736 or find them on Facebook, Custom Corners Frame Shop in Seneca.
Imagine a university. A university where your passion for protecting local water sources is encouraged. And now, your work not only benefits your career, but the health of those in your community and around the world. This is Furman. This is the Furman Advantage.
Dan Scott here for the Atlanta Bread Company. What do I like about Atlanta Bread? Well, too much to mention in a short commercial, but here are a few things. Bread baked daily, fresh on site, a tremendous selection of soup, sandwiches, and salads, seasonal special additions to the menu, delicious hot coffee, and a bevy of other drink options. And yeah, can't forget about the baked sweet goodies. Dine in or carry out, and when you have the Atlanta Bread Company app, you can order and pay online, then breeze past the lines to the pickup counter to get your food. Experience it for yourself. That's the Atlanta Bread Company, Cherrydale Point in Greenville.
When you go in search of a fence company, what's your criteria? Experience? Trust? A company that gets it right the first time and stands behind its work? Then your search is over. Faulkner Fence has been Greenville's fence company for more than 40 years. Ed Faulkner started the business, and now son Todd continues the tradition of excellence. So regardless of your fencing needs, commercial, industrial, or residential, trust the company that Greenville has trusted for over 4 decades. Faulkner Fence, 864-271-4626, or online at FaulknerFenceCompany.com.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
All right, we are back on this Monday edition of the program. I am Dan Scott. Glad to have you with us again. You're tuning in expecting to hear from Don Clardy. Don on a plane to Chicago, so he will not be with us today. We'll double up on that look back at the 1988 season week by week when he joins us next Monday. All right, so yesterday afternoon was a rather wild day in some aspects in the National Football League, and none wilder than what went on in Carolina, where the Panthers seemingly had the game under control against Eli Manning and the New York Giants. The Giants came back, took the lead late, and then the Panthers had one final shot and ended up having to settle for a 63-yard field goal attempt as time expired from Graham Gano. And if you paid attention yesterday, you know that Graham Gano hit that field goal. Here is the Fox television call of Graham Gano's game winner. Check this out.
Ball is placed down. Gano from 63 yards out. It is good!
Pretty typical TV call, nice call, big moment. Pictures said a lot more than the broadcast, as you might imagine in a situation like that. Now listen to the radio call from the Carolina Panthers network. And I'm not going to see the video on this one, just the radio call. Here is the Panthers network on the same call.
From 63 yards away. Wow. Graham Gano to win the game. 6 seconds left. Snap. Spot. Gano's kick is long. It's end over end. And this kick is good.
Oh, he did it. He did it.
Unbelievable.
So, jubilation in the home radio booth, again, as you might imagine. All of that pales miserably in comparison to the Spanish language call on radio of Graham Gano's 63-yard game-winning field goal. We have become accustomed to hearing these fantastic Spanish calls of big goals in international soccer events, whether it's the World Cup or whether it's the European Cup or whatever it may be. We're accustomed to that. But when you get a Spanish call of another sport, a quote-unquote American sport, it can be even more wildly entertaining. Check this out. This one you'll see the video. It's the same Fox TV broadcast, but laid underneath is the radio call in Spanish. I don't even know who these guys are. I wish I did so I could give them credit. But here is the Spanish radio call of Graham Gano's 63-yard game winner.
Le ha sobrado distancia, le van a servir. Tiene altura, tiene profundidad, va a llegar. ¡Ganó, lo ganó! ¡Señor! ¡Ganó, lo ganó! Yo sí le voy a los Panthers. ¡Taca! Yo sí le voy a los Panthers. ¡Taca!
I mean, how do you top that as an announcer? Somebody who makes his living doing play-by-play. I mean, I could never approach something like that. I that is just phenomenal. I love the passion. I love the excitement. The guy just totally losing his mind on the air, and it worked. It absolutely worked. That was, in a word, phenomenal. I thought you'd enjoy that, the Spanish language call of Graham Gano's 63-yard game-winning field goal yesterday. All right, we're going to step out for another break. When we come back, you're going to hear an interview that I recorded back on Wednesday with John D'Angelo, the new director of operations for Furman University basketball. It's a sneak peek because it's going to be part of the All Den podcast, which will drop later on this afternoon. But you get to hear John D'Angelo first when we come back on this edition of the Dan Scott Show Monday morning, and we'll return in a moment.
For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant more life-changing wishes. Visit Make-A-Wish online now. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hall's Chop House in downtown Greenville is the Greenville Steakhouse. Why? Well, it starts with the Allen Brothers Prime Steaks out of Chicago. The rest of the menu falls into place there. But it really goes beyond that. It's their level of service, their commitment to that service. The place is packed every night, and yet Billy and his staff have a way of making you and your table feel like you're the most important table in the place. They have lunch on Fridays and Saturdays, brunch on Sundays, live music every time the doors are open. The Greenville Steakhouse is Hall's Chop House, Main Street, downtown. Tell them you heard about them on the Dan Scott Show.
Mayhem is everywhere.
I'm a fight in the stadium parking lot. One of us was rooting for the home team. The other was also rooting for the home team, but misheard the first one. Them's fighting words. Now we're working this out all over your car. And this could last a while because we're evenly matched. We're both big. We're both better at punching stuff than doing puzzles. We both think Italy's in South America. We both peaked somewhere between 8th grade and the second time we took 8th grade. Oh, and while you were gone, we've both been rammed repeatedly by the other into your car. Our already scarred faces will heal, but if you've got cut rate insurance, you could be living with these dents. So get Allstate, where agents help keep you protected from mayhem. Like me.
Are you in good hands?
In Easley, it's Ray Williams, Allstate, 864-859-7504.
Looking for a great car, but your credit needs work? Premier Automotivations is a professional referral service motivated to help you drive a car you love while rebuilding your credit. Late model cars of all kinds. Premier Automotivations can get you on the road and your credit on the road to recovery today. Serving all of upstate South Carolina, it's Premier Automotivations. Call Sherry today at 864-722-3785 or email cricketgravely@gmail.com.
Go the Distance Performance Coaching offers individualized coaching for distance runners of all ability levels, beginner to seasoned runner, and exists to help you achieve your running goals. All training plans are custom built, tailor-made just for you based on your experience, current fitness level, injury history, and goals. You're going to receive expert coaching from Hall of Fame runner Brock Bailey, and Coach Brock is ready to help you go the distance. You can find out everything you need to know about Go the Distance Performance Coaching and Brock Bailey at the website gocoach.run. Gocoach.run. That's Go the Distance Performance Coaching. All right, welcome back. We continue here on this edition of the Dan Scott Show. I am the guy who has his name there so he doesn't forget the name of the show. Or maybe I named the show that so I don't forget my own name. Either way, glad to be here. Again, normally we'd be talking to Don Clardy at this time about the 88 National Championship team. We're taking that season week by week in this Diamond Anniversary. Hashtag Diamonds Are Forever here at Furman. But Don is en route to Chicago, couldn't be with us today, so we'll have him on next week, and we'll basically do a 2-week recap of that 88 season. What we do have, though, is a chance for you to meet someone that you likely haven't met yet. He's the newest addition to Bob Ritchie's basketball staff. John D'Angelo is the director of operations for the basketball Paladins. And, of course, I think I've got it set in one area, and it's not, and I've got to get it set up on the fly here to do something else. But in any event, John is this interview is actually part of the podcast that will drop on or later this afternoon. See, I'm all discombobulated now. But you get a chance to hear this first. So here is a interview that we did earlier, actually Wednesday of last week, with John D'Angelo. I'm just going to quit talking and let you hear this. Take a listen. One of the things we like to do on the podcast is introduce you to new members of the staff when they join. One of the things we like to do on the podcast is introduce you to new members of the staff when they join, and the latest member of Bob Ritchie's staff is his new director of ops, John D'Angelo, who came to this program from the University of Virginia. So this is the first time we get an opportunity to kind of sit down and talk a little bit. John, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Welcome to Furman. Looks like you've acclimated yourself well. You're wearing the right color, so that's good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tell me how all of this came about. I mean, you're working with a guy at Virginia in a national program with Coach Tony Bennett. You're the assistant director of ops there. Is that accurate?
Correct. I was a graduate assistant, but I worked under the director of operations.
So how did the journey to Furman come about?
Sure. So I knew once I was getting ready to graduate from the University of Virginia that I wanted to be a part of a program that had a high culture, a high level of culture like the university did. And unfortunately, it didn't look like there were going to be staff openings at Virginia, so I wasn't going to have the option to stay there and be able to pay my bills that way. And so
the real world was going to intrude,
yes, sir,
right?
Yes, sir. Yeah. No, I've been blessed to have some pretty cool opportunities, but unfortunately, financially, I now had obligations because of those opportunities, right? So I'm getting ready to enter into the job force and look for work, and so I knew that culture was a priority for me. And so when I would see different job openings, the very first thing I would do is reach out to the different people on the staff at Virginia and Miami, where I'd been for undergrad, and I would say, hey, do you know anyone at these places? And is this a place that you would want to send your kid to, that you would really want to be a part of, or is it something that I should maybe stay away from or not even necessarily apply for? And so I reached out to Ronnie Weidman about an opening that happened. He was my boss at Virginia, and I said, hey, what do you think about this opening? He gets back to me the next morning, shoots me a text and says, hey, send me your resume ASAP. And so I send him my resume, and then next thing I know, I'm getting a text from Coach Ritchie. So I hadn't inquired about the Furman opening. It was actually kind of hidden, the posting.
Mm-hmm.
But Coach Ritchie had reached out to Ronnie Weidman, who then reached out to me. And so my resume got in Coach Ritchie's hands, and next thing I know, I'm on the phone with Coach Ritchie, and we're getting connected.
And even beyond Coach Ritchie reaching out to Coach Weidman, as we were discussing prior to starting the interview, you and I are wearing a similar wristband.
Yes,
and matter of fact, the exact same wristband, and Bob maybe can tell the story in a little more detail, but we're both wearing a wristband that says lead for God's sake, remember your why, and that is from the book Lead for God's Sake from Todd Gongwer, and it's a relationship between Coach Ritchie and Todd that also helped play a role in this, right?
Correct. Yeah. So when I got to the University of Virginia, I love reading books. For me, it's like an easy way to get a great conversation with someone who knows a lot more than you, right? So I get to the university and I ask Coach Bennett if he has any books he recommends, and he recommends Todd's book to me. And so I sit down and I read that book right away, and he actually had some extra wristbands because Todd had also visited the Virginia basketball team. And so I popped that wristband on. And so it turns out that my side of the story, or what I know of the story, is that Coach Ritchie had reached out to Todd looking for somebody from Virginia who might have been a part of the culture there, because I think Coach Ritchie sees an alignment between the culture at Virginia and the culture here. Reached out to my boss, and my boss referred me on to him saying, hey, I think John might be a good candidate for you. And I guess Coach Ritchie agreed, or someone bribed someone, but, I'm here today, so it's neither here nor there for me.
Whatever it takes, right?
Exactly.
Whatever it takes to get you here. This is John D'Angelo. He is the new director of ops here for Furman basketball on Bob Ritchie's staff. When your hiring was announced, and it's been one of the previous episodes that Bob and I talked about this a little bit, he talked about the tactical approach to this position this time around as opposed to last time around, and really looking for someone who was kind of all in on the administrative side of things, so there could be a clear line drawn between these are the guys who are going to coach and want to coach, and this is the guy who's basically going to run my life, so to speak, and paraphrasing. And so that's where you come in. I mean, you are pretty much all administration, correct?
Correct, yeah. So my goal is, I think, no different than any of the assistants or Bob's goal. It's that we want to serve the student athletes and the community in the best way we possibly can. And so for my title as Director of Operations, it's to handle all of those administrative tasks as well as I possibly can. So I get to serve the kids by making sure that they know when their classes are, that they know when our team meetings are, that Bob's able to make all of his appointments, or Coach Ritchie's able to make all of his appointments. And if I can serve the team well that way, I trust that that will help us win a championship, or that that will help us reach our dreams and goals as well as I possibly can. And if one day Coach Ritchie believes that my tasks should be different than they are today, I'm all for it. I'm all for however I can help serve the team. But today that means Director of Operations role, and so I'm all in for Director of Operations and doing whatever I can do to serve administratively.
Well, I know you had been on the job for, I guess maybe a month or so when we had this first conversation, and he was already singing the praises about how much easier his life was, the burden that you had taken off of him with some of this administrative stuff. And I think what he found out is what a lot of young head coaches find out when they come from the assistant ranks to their first head coaching job. There's so much more to it than just coaching basketball. So many things that go into it with that you didn't have to deal with as an assistant coach. So anytime he can get someone like you to help relieve that burden, it's got to make him a better coach, I would think.
Yeah, I would hope so. I mean, I was fortunate to learn under one of the best. Ronnie Weidman's been by Coach Bennett's side for, I believe, over 15 years since Coach Bennett was at Washington State. And one of the things that I think Ronnie had to do well was just learn Coach Bennett and learn the tendencies and learn the culture that Coach Bennett was looking to establish at whatever program he was at. And so that's my goal every day. My goal is to learn Coach Ritchie better so that I can know what Furman basketball is all about and just make sure that that gets carried through every aspect of the program.
What was your first impression when you came to campus for your interview, and ultimately what was it that made you want to be part of what Bob is building here?
That's a great question. I've actually got a specific story for that. So you tour campus here, and it's absolutely beautiful. I hadn't known about Furman until I received that text from Coach Ritchie, and then I looked into it right away. But once I got on campus, I was so impressed with how beautiful it was. I was like, man, this is outstanding. I love the South. I love Southern hospitality, all that good stuff, right? But then I come on campus, and I'm watching the interaction of the staff with the players with the players. And so, I'm here for my interview, and obviously the coaches are asking me different questions, figuring out what I can do to help be an asset to the program. But at the same time, I'm kind of interviewing them, right? I'm seeing if this is a long-term fit for me, if I can see myself being here as a part of the program day in and day out. So I'm watching this player workout or this team workout that's going on, and there's two particular things that happen. The first one, actually I forget the order. Let's just say the first one, right? The guys are doing a little bit of up and down, or there's live play going on, and there's a loose ball that comes my way. I'm sitting along the sideline. I've got my golf pants on, polo. I'm looking good. I'm feeling good. I'm sitting on the sideline, and there's a loose ball that comes my way, and it kind of bounces over my head. And then as I'm watching the ball bounce over my head, all of a sudden I see 3 players coming my way, and leading them out of the crew, diving for the loose ball in an off-season live play workout is Andrew Brown, the senior who's probably got everything to lose, right? Who's had injuries in the past, and he's the one that's leading the way, putting his body on the line, saying this is how Furman basketball is played. And so to see that coming from the players was outstanding. And then shortly after that, there's a ball that bounces out of bounds, and there was a defensive miscue during the possession. And so the defense gets together and huddles, and then they break from their huddle. And Coach Ritchie did something that very few coaches, I think, would do. As they were breaking from the huddle, he said, "Stop. Stop right there." And everyone freezes. They look at him, and he goes, "I want to know what was just said in that huddle." And there was instant accountability with the players of, listen, we don't just go into a huddle because that's what teams do and talk about things because that's what teams do. What's being communicated in the huddle matters. That once I saw that level of accountability where Coach Ritchie was saying, okay, I'm not just happy that my team's huddling. I want to know what was said, how it was said, who was taking responsibility, and how we're going to get better as a result of that huddle. I knew that this was a program I could be a part of.
This is John D'Angelo, the new director of operations for Furman basketball on Bob Ritchie's staff. You came from a very successful, high-profile program, national profile program, and yet you were telling me that the Tony Bennett that people see on television, who comes across as a very humble guy, is the same way when the camera lights are off as they are when they're on.
100%. 100%. He defines humility. So it's one of the 5 pillars at the University of Virginia is humility, along with passion, unity, servanthood, and thankfulness. I still got them. But they define humility as a proper understanding of yourself, not to think too highly of yourself, not to think too lowly of yourself. And there's lots of people who, when they think of humility, they think, oh, I need to push down who I am. Like, I need to think less of myself. But if you do that, it's a kind of a different kind of arrogance.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what Coach Bennett does a really good job of in his life is he understands who he is and he understands who he's not, and he just maintains a proper perspective of that. He's a human being just like you or I are. He ties his shoes in the morning just like we do. There's nothing that makes him a better person than you or I, and he acknowledges that. And then at the same time, it's I do have certain skill sets and I do do certain things well. And so when people communicate with him, he's down to earth because he wants to relate to you as a person. And then at the same time, the knowledge that he's willing to share every day is immense. And so it was a blessing working with him for the year that I was there, and the rest of the staff. The rest of the staff reflects Coach Bennett, amazingly well. Coach Sanchez, who's now at Charlotte, Coach Soderberg, who's been with Coach Bennett now for a while, Coach Van Dross, they're all outstanding. Coach Williford, who's now associate head coach there, all of them. I'm so thankful for my time there.
So do you feel like you've had enough time here on Furman's campus to be totally acclimated yet?
Well, okay, so when I first got here, it's like drinking from a fire hose, right? And so you're just hoping to not get your teeth knocked out. And so slowly as you start drinking from that fire hose and you get used to things, it's like, okay, now it's more manageable bites. Some days still offer bigger bites than other days where you're like, man, that was a little bit tough to swallow. I've got some adjusting to do. But as each day goes by, I'm more and more comfortable in my skin here. And so I'm loving it.
What about building the chemistry that is necessary with a staff? Specifically with a head coach, because you're going to be, again, administratively, you're going to be his right-hand man, and then also building that chemistry and relationship with the players, in effect, having to start over.
Sure. Well, one of my things in respects to Coach Ritchie is when I came in for this interview, I said, Coach, this role is being defined or redefined largely from what it was in previous years. So Ronnie was as good as he was at Virginia because he knew Coach Bennett. It's going to take me time to get to know you. I just need to know I have freedom to mess up. And that when I do, I'm going to do my best to not mess up in that same way again. But as we learn each other, we're different human beings. Like, I'm going to do my best to learn you as quickly as I can with as few questions as possible, but there's going to be bumps in the road. And he was completely on board with that and said, hey, like, that's what happens in relationships. You're free to ask me as many questions as you need and learn about the program. So there's that aspect of things with Coach Ritchie. He's been outstanding. And then with the players, it's just me making the effort to meet them on grounds that don't just include the basketball court. Go out to lunch with them, get to know them, let them know that I care about their hopes and their goals and their dreams just as much as I do Coach Ritchie's. And my goal is to bring alignment in those things as much as possible, to show them how when they do well in the classroom and when they give their all in the basketball court and when they pursue whatever job they want to pursue, that all of those things can be done at Furman University, especially if they're willing to trust the coaching staff. And so the more often that they realize that and the more often that I look to bless them in that way, the more success we're going to have here.
Sounds like you've got everything moving in the right direction.
I'm fooling someone, right?
That's right. What smoke and mirrors, whatever it takes. Well, listen, it's been fun getting a chance to allow our fans to get to know a little bit about you. You and I are going to be seeing a lot of each other once the season starts. So whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, it is the truth. But thank you for coming and spending some time with us.
It's always my pleasure, Dan.
That is John D'Angelo. He is the Director of Ops for Furman Basketball. And that was a sneak preview of that interview that will be part of episode 22 of the All Den podcast, which will be completed today and dropped a little bit later on this afternoon. All right, to break we go. We'll come back. We'll talk a little bit about the Major League Baseball playoffs, and I'm going to wrap it up a little bit early because I've got to finish that podcast recording coming up with head coach Bob Ritchie. So we'll do all of that when we come back. On the other side, Dan Scott Show for a Monday continues right after this. When you're looking for the home of a lifetime, you need a realtor you can trust. With more than 27 years experience selling real estate, Gel Sartain is the choice to help the discriminating buyer find the home of their dreams. Licensed in both South Carolina and Georgia, Gel specializes in homes on beautiful lakes Hartwell and Kiwi, as well as the surrounding areas, and has a wealth of experience working with people with technical backgrounds. Now is the time to buy, sell, and invest in real estate in the Clemson-Seneca area. Let Gail help you realize that dream today. Call her at 404-317-3171. That's Gail Sartain, a member of the National Association of Realtors.
We're all trying to find our way, forge a path, blaze a trail. The work is hard and the work is personal, but you can't do it alone. At Furman, we're committed to giving you an advantage, the Furman Advantage. We know that graduates who are emotionally supported and who have deep learning experiences in college are 3 times as likely to be engaged at work and thriving in life. At Furman, all students are guaranteed 4 years of rigorous classroom education integrated with high-impact research, internships, study away, and a community of support every step of the way. This is the Furman Advantage.
Hey everybody, Dan Scott. I've been telling you for some time now that I switched to protection of my home and family to Security Complete. I can tell you that I've been ecstatic with the results. Locally owned with more than 40 years experience in the industry, Security Complete uses nothing but the latest technology, which equals low overhead, which equals greater savings to the customer. Fully automated systems with monitoring rates much lower than the competition. Security Complete gives you all this and does not require a contract of any length. Find out more by calling 864-546-0630 or find them on Facebook and Twitter. Security Complete, my first line of defense. Make them yours today.
Let me tell you something, Cowboy. This rookie can really bring the heat.
He's smoky and spicy with a Chipotle style all his own.
It's a new Montgomery Inn Chipotle barbecue sauce. Make it a part of your home team.
Available now at your neighborhood grocer or online at CincyFavorites.com.
Hey everybody, Dan Scott here, and I want to tell you about my technology partner, Carolina Creative Group. When my show needed a creative technology boost, I turned to Carolina Creative Group. My custom design website is going to take marketing as well as brand strategy and development to new levels. The search engine optimization means that my clients' ads will be seen by more people more often. And if I have any questions, Carolina Creative Group is just a phone call away. Friends, that is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. You can find out all the ways that Carolina Creative Group can help your business by simply calling 864-250-2012. Again, that's 864-250-2012, or simply visit them online at carolinacreative.co. Carolina Creative Group, technology partner of the Dan Scott Show. All right, welcome back. Final segment of the program as we continue here on this Monday edition of the show. Back with you tomorrow, getting into more of the college football stuff than we've talked about today, really. And coming up as the week goes on, Dave Glenn will be with us. I think Billy Davis may be back on Thursday. Also, hope that we'll be able to grab Todd Shaughnessy, who covers Wofford for the Spartanburg Herald-Journal before the week is up. And on Friday, Gene Henley from the Chattanooga Times, Chattanooga Free Press, a newspaper there, and to talk about the SoCon, plus Scott Keeler to talk some high school football as well as Furman. So busy week, as is usually the case, and we look forward to all of it. Last night, the Atlanta Braves played the first home playoff game in SunTrust Park, their second year in that stadium, and had an electrifying crowd, down 2-0 in the best of 5 to the Dodgers. So it's an elimination game, and of course the Braves hang on and win 6-5. The big blow early was Ronald Acuna's grand slam home run. Take a listen to this.
3-1 for Acuna. Swinging a high fly ball. Deep to left field. Way back. It's gone! The grandest of all home runs. A towering fly ball to the left field bleachers by Ronald Acuna. And a 5-0 Atlanta lead.
At 20 years old, becomes the youngest player in the history of Major League Baseball to hit a grand slam in the postseason. Mickey Mantle had hit a World Series grand slam at age 21. Then the Braves would have to really hang on, and the winning run actually was provided in the 6th inning off the bat of Freddie Freeman.
And so Wood works from the stretch and delivers. Freddie hits it high and deep to right. That ball is way out of here. I don't need to say anything. The crowd is saying it all for you. It's 6-5.
One of those home runs where Yasiel Puig, the right fielder, didn't even move. I mean, that ball was absolutely scorched. So the Braves win at 6-5 to stay alive, and Game 4 of that series comes up at 4:30 this afternoon. Again, the Dodgers need just one more win to advance. The Brewers swept the Rockies, so they're already in the National League Championship Series, awaiting either the Braves or the Dodgers. Meanwhile, in the American League, the series between the Astros and the Indians shifts to Cleveland, I should say, at 1:30 this afternoon, with the Indians down 2-0 to the defending World Series champs, needing a win to stay alive there. And then at 7:40 tonight, Boston and the Yankees in the Bronx with that series tied at 1 game apiece. That is going to be some incredible theater, as is usually the case when those two teams get together. So 2 of the 3 remaining series could come to an end today if Houston wins, and if the Dodgers win, those series will be over. Boston and the Yankees will play at least one more game after tonight regardless. But those are the 3 games remaining in the divisional round of the Major League Baseball playoffs, and the Braves hanging on and will live to see at least one more day this afternoon. All right, as mentioned, we got to wrap it up a little early today because I've got to finish up the All Den podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll look forward to being back here with you tomorrow, same time, same place, and getting into a lot more, as is usually the case. As I've been telling you folks, go out and try your best to make a positive difference in somebody else's life. And we'll see you back here tomorrow. Until then, I'm Dan Scott saying God bless you. So long, everybody.